Cool. Hello, everyone. Cool. What up, everyone? Welcome back to Financial Education and Business. In this video, I'm going to be just, creating my AI research site. And while at the same time, I'm going to be creating my AI stock analyst. And if you have any suggestions, go ahead and drop it in the comments. And so I'm just going to go through this and hopefully we can create something that's kind of awesome. So, something really cool about something that's pretty awesome about Google AI Studios is that you're able to create a lot. They've built out this thing called SDK. Within it, you can start creating sites, customized stock research, almost like a website. So also you can do a million other things. If you haven't used Google AI Studios before, it's a really cool tool. So obviously you can use it like normal. You can just have chat along and do whatever you want. Try the Nano Banana, which is pretty cool, where you just give it a whole bunch of images and it's able to understand the image. And let's say you give it an image of a car, image of a soccer ball, a watch. And the cool part about the Nano Banana is that it'll put all that together and make a really cool image. Actually, let's do this. Let's go to YouTube and Google Nano Banana examples. Let's look at a couple examples. Google Nano Banana AI. Check this out. So, let's do a fun example here. Let's see, news. I want to see what someone has created, because this really replaces a lot of companies that really make you pay for a lot of features. And sometimes this can cost a lot of money. And the fact that you can have something like this really makes it so maybe this guy might be a good example to watch. So let's watch this.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 4.
Nano Banana has been going viral everywhere for its image editing capabilities, but what about when we use it for video? I've been experimenting nonstop since it came out and have discovered some incredible things that have blown me away to be able to do. This is a fun one, we'll get to that later, but let's actually start a little simpler than that. A really easy one I thought was pretty fun was taking famous artwork like the Mona Lisa, then I'd drag it in and ask for it to zoom out to show what it would have looked like while Da Vinci was painting it. I'm using Nano Banana in Gemini, by the way. You could also use it in Google AI Studio, completely free, or there's platforms like Freepik that have it integrated. A benefit of platforms that have the API integrated is it will come back without the watermark, although it only takes a couple seconds to get rid of with generative fill in Photoshop if you wanted to. But I used that same prompt, just changing the name of the art.
I mean, that's pretty simple. So practically this guy gave it a prompt and said, hey, give me a photo of Leonardo da Vinci painting the Mona Lisa. They are outside in nature, not in a studio. Here's the painting, the Mona Lisa on a canvas, blah blah blah. So he kind of tells it what. And then the cool part is Nano Banana is able to understand what he's meaning and create something just exactly what the individual might be looking for. And all he did is he gave it that image, the Mona Lisa, and it was able to put on create a full body Mona Lisa. Leonardo da Vinci, who looks like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, sitting there with paint like all over the ground, wearing maybe the clothes for that time period. That's the interesting part. Like, he didn't say like, oh, the clothes needs to be at that time period. It could have been a modern era, but I think it's got a pretty good imagination and was able to get a lot of the details seem like it's not modern. It looks like the tools he's using seem to be from back during that time.
You wanted to. But I used that same prompt, just changing the name of the artwork and the artist for the girl with the pearl earring, Starry Night, then relativity. Nano Banana will generate the new image using the same aspect ratio as the one you uploaded. And from there, I wanted to animate between them, so it zooms out from the art and shows the full scene. To need a platform that allows for both start and end frames. I tested most of these in Hilo, Kling, and Midjourney. I upload the start frame here, click the end frame, and upload the final scene. Then just a simple prompt works since there's already a lot of information from the images. I'm mostly just prompting for the camera movement. Easy as that. Then I just added in some classical music, and here it is.
All right, we're not gonna keep watching this video, but pretty cool, pretty cool. So that's Nano Banana. You can give Gemini AI any image you want, and it really puts it together in a cool, fun fashion. But there is also something that's really cool that we're gonna end up using. I'm gonna end up using while I create my stock research video, and I think that is my. Well, okay, I'll show you the stream. So in the stream portion of Google AI Studios, you're able to talk to it. You can also have your camera, and also you can have share screen. And while you share your screen, you can ask it different questions on your screen, and it will help you kind of create or understand what you're trying to create, or to understand what's going on your screen, and it be able to give you answers. Generate media is cool, and this is the feature that one of the features here is what I'm gonna use to use while I'm creating my site. But as you can see, there's so many different capabilities. Branch out from one generation to the next with multi-model workflow. You also have explore, fast forward, turn the panda into adventure. So you got all these different features. You can make ads. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use this feature here. This feature is built in, and what it allows you to do is actually create music using the platform. It's like you just literally become a DJ. So let it load, and then I will create something cool. So a lot of these notes and everything else is generated by the AI. They're not like they don't exist somewhere. And the prompt, this DJ is able to just generate these random beats. So let's try it. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so this whole thing is being created by the AI, obviously. Hey Ash, I was actually talking, but then I was muted. I know, I saw that today. I was following it the entire time. Like I just kept staring at it. I couldn't believe it. Like I think so many people are just asleep on it. And I literally bought some shares this morning. I bought more um AM I bought more AMD as well. But I think we got a ways to go with Grab. I don't know if you saw that video by what's his name? This guy created a video today and he's just doing a DCF on Grab. Honestly, he had the company doing revenue like 2030 or so, and he did discount cash flow. He did analysis on it, and it looks like he came up to like what about $11 a share. Risk adjusted about 10% because of the region. Um, he came up with around $10. Let me see if I can find that video so we can watch it. But this is gonna be an AI video. But now you got me excited about Grab. So I'll actually go ahead and pull up that video here. It was a really good analysis, and it was very persuasive actually. So
Yes, he's using a Gorilla pillow. How can you tell?
all right, let's watch this.
Gorilla Ergo. It's the cutting-edge ergonomic pillow that people actually look forward to laying their heads on. It's time to stop accepting old, sweaty,
All right, let's watch this video.
begging pillows. This marvel of sleep architectural design is here.
So this is name. He actually does really good job on analyzing Grab. Um, let's do Grab here. He does really good job analyzing the company, and he just kind of throws out his numbers and does really actually a really good analysis. So if you don't know who he is, it would be good for you to go check him out. Um, he shows it. So I don't know if he has a summary of that here. So yeah, introduction, business breakdown, Grab management, and actually he speaks around some of the topics that I did a little bit ago. He covered the whole topic around that guy that recently got hit by some ambulance not long ago, and how Grab is kind of playing, saw that event and how that individual that was delivering for Grab and because he got hit by the car, Grab decided like, hey, you know what we should do is support this guy and be a good steward and see and have like the community look at us as individuals that support our drivers. So anyways, let me stop yapping and let's watch this. This is a really good analysis.
Actually, in some time since I last spoke about Grab, and in my previous couple of videos regarding this company, I spoke about the environment that they are operating in, some of the opportunities and risks that are in front of Grab, being a company that operates within the Southeast Asian region. Right, and let's dive in. And I think by now you should be pretty familiar with Grab's business model. If not, I'm going to be leaving a link to the previous video down below as well as up above, and you can feel free to watch it after this video. But to understand Grab, at least on the high level, you have to understand that they have three main verticals of their business, and the biggest two being deliveries as well as mobility. Now, mobility is basically another name for their ride hailing services. And both of these metrics within their business is measured by something called the on demand GMV or gross merchandise value. And so, what you are actually seeing, I'm showing you the wrong graph. What you're seeing over here, let's take a look at how this Excel file actually works. So what you're seeing over here is we're starting by to understand the business.
So here are his numbers. It's not very clear, but so you should be able to see it at least. So he does a breakdown.
Let's take a look at how this Excel file actually works. So what you're seeing over here is we're starting by to understand the business from the most key metrics, which is users on the platform. So over here, what you're seeing is this metric known as the monthly transacting users, or short form MTUs. Now, this has grown in the mid-teens range over the last couple of years, or last couple of quarters, and this is a growth rate that is actually very sustainable, right? So on top of that, they also track their on-demand GMV, which is, like I said earlier on, a combination of both their delivery as well as ride-hailing business. Again, this is also growing mid 10% range over the last couple of years, and in the most recent quarter, this came in at a 20% year-over-year growth. So with these two numbers, we actually are able to get.
I just gotta say those are pretty good numbers there. Like these are obviously 2024 quarter-over-quarter numbers going into 2025. Their on-demand GMV, like delivering rides, is growing at what 22, 20, about 20% over the last couple of quarters. Those are not bad numbers, especially now. I think we even got more evidence that um, their competition GoTo got into even, I think, more financing because they couldn't, because they're probably losing customers. They're in bad light right now. So yeah, so I think that these numbers, this delivery and ride numbers, are going to just keep going up.
Amount of gross merchandise value per user every single month. Now, I think what is important over here is that you have to understand that this is not just me saying that this metric is important. This GMV per monthly transacting users is a metric that the management of Grab actually track and report in their earnings presentation every single quarter. And for me, that is how I'm actually projecting out future GMV. I'm going to project out how much GMV is actually generated per monthly transacting users. And then from there, we can get the overall GMV. Now, why do we need to know the overall GMV? Very simple, because we're going to find revenue as a percent of overall GMV or on-demand GMV, right? So before we go into the revenue aspect of the model, I just want to take a look over here. Financial services growing rather healthily in the last couple of quarters, 85% growth, 70% year-over-year growth, 81%, 64, 55, and then now back up again to 78% year-over-year growth. So like I said, their financial services side of the business seems to be doing well. I have very subjective concerns over their partners, but apart from that, it's good to see the business doing well. Now,
I just gotta say one thing is that the micro loan, small loan business in Africa and Asia is gonna be such a large business, and I've seen it before where a lot of times these are the kind of services that women really love because like in these kind of countries, like it's really hard for women to get into any kind of business, to get into like any type of loan, and the fact that like they can have some kind of loan that they can give to people within communities, and they can take that money, invest it in, like they're going to be able to buy chickens or cows or whatever, like, or even invest that money into getting their own taxi to make deliveries, and then be able to pay back Grab in the long term. But then obviously Grab makes investment returns, but also acquires really good community sentiment from everybody else. At the end of the day, Grab is going to be known as one of those companies that employs and helps like an entire region. I think it's going to be seen by good, really good light, and in the long term may actually even have like government support behind it. So these like micro loans or these loan portfolio is going to be, I think it's going to keep growing. I mean, as you can see, what we're seeing as 80, 70, 81, 60, 55%. Now we're at 78%. I think it's going to keep growing. It's going to be one of their biggest businesses. We know companies like that right now here in the US. We see SoFi, they do huge loans. That is, one of Upwork, right? Upstart is like the its entire business is loans, giving loans to people. So this is a large opportunity, and I think is gonna grow. It's gonna grow significantly quickly because it's something that people need.
The
So,
third thing that
anyways,
you're seeing over here is the incentives. Now, why am I tracking the incentives? Because the incentives that they use, partner incentives as well as consumer incentives, are levers that Grab can actually pull in order to gain market share. If they feel like they're under pressure from certain competitors, then they're able to do that. But this, if you look at the numbers that are being presented over here, you can also see that it's going to be very hard for competitors to compete in the same space. Like in Q2 of 2025, if you take a look at the numbers here, they handed out $239 million in partner incentives and $307 million in consumer incentives, overall spending around $546 million in incentives. And that means should any competitors want to enter into the space, they need to be willing to burn $500 million in incentives in order to compete with what Grab has, which ultimately becomes a moat for the company. Now, before I go on, I just want to show you the couple of graphs at the bottom over here that are fairly interesting. I think this graph over here, these three graphs are actually the most interesting of all the graphs. Now, the first one that you're seeing is the gross merchandise value as well as the relationship with the monthly transacting users. So you can see the GMV per user slowly has creeped up over time from the $80 range, now hovering close to 120s. All the while, the monthly transacting users are increasing, right? So at the same time, if these two increase, you can actually
the crazy part is I could see this number to continuing to grow. Obviously, GoTo is one. I keep going back to GoTo, but that is a main competitor right now over there, and this number is going to keep growing. And as Grab continues to build social credit, I think this number is going to keep growing. And what this is going to do is the discounted price is going to be way above what he's going to show us at the end of this video. But I think this number here is not going to slow down.
See an exponential growth in their revenue. Now, secondly, in terms of the growth of their gross merchandise value, their GMV, you can see that for a period they declined, which was why their stock price declined as well. But over the last couple of quarters since Q1 of 2023, they have actually managed to ramp this up, and this is back in an uptrend again, although still slightly volatile in the recent quarters. Now, and then this is perhaps one of my favorite graph in the whole earnings, which is the GMV and incentives. I believe I've shown this to you earlier. And so you can see the amount of incentives actually fell while the GMV still continued to grow, which shows that consumers as well as their partners enjoy using their platform, find value in their platform. And so this 10% in terms of incentives being paid out is a very sustainable number. And as the GMV grows, just by virtue of growing the GMV, this 10% will become a larger and larger number. And so every single year, their moat in terms of their incentives becomes bigger and bigger, and it gets harder and harder every single year for a new entrant to compete with them.
All right, I have to add into that because I really do believe that, because you have a company that is going to be literally taking a monopoly of the whole region, and the fact that they have incentives that they give out to both ends of the market, to the individuals that end up are that end up creating the products, and the individuals that drive to pick up those products, whether it's any kind of delivery, boxes, pets, food, whatever it is. Um, if Grab is able to give benefits to both ends of the market, I think at the end of the day, um, Grab is going to be able to keep those customers and make their platforms very, very sticky. And I know what nobody, if a new company wanted to enter the market and be able to position themselves and compete against Grab, I think it's going to be very difficult because Grab already has built in the network effects, the moat, and it's going to be almost impossible for new entrants to come in and be able to give the discounts and the efficiency that Grab has been able to build within the community, as well as the region and the technology that they've been able to build out. So that is such a I think that is such a big part of Grab's moat there.
Now, then after that, I'm going to show you this graph over here. This basically shows you the revenue of Grab for the last couple of quarters. Let me pull this graph slightly bigger so that you can see. Okay, I just realized
I don't have time for bullshit, so I use a no bullshit pan. I am Chef Sam Talbot. I've been cooking for 37 years. What the hell is a titanium pan? I'm gonna tell you. The Titanium Always Pan Pro is the first nonstick made with zero coating. This technology is so cool that it's actually patented. It doesn't scratch.
the screen here is rather small. Let me zoom this in. So what I want to point out to you over here is that you can see this orange line represents revenue as a percent of gross merchandise value. Now, when Grab first came public, right, this number wasn't very healthy. It dropped into the single digit range. And I think a large part of that is because they were spending a lot of that on giving away incentives. But over time, you can see that Grab's revenue as a percentage of GMV has slowly increased and now basically steadied out in the 14 to 16% range over the last few years. And I think this is a fairly stable number. This is how we are going to predict or to project out our revenues ahead. Right, so we are going to find the GMV and then we take 15% of the GMV as revenue. So as GMV grows, revenue will actually basically grow accordingly. And then over here, you are able to see over the last couple of quarters, they have turned EBITDA positive as well as net income positive, although their profitability they is still fairly nascent, I would say. And so because of that, this is not actually something I'm paying too much attention to. Of course, I want them to continue to keep up the profitability, but I'm not too concerned over some of the volatility and fluctuations that we see over there. So with that, because Grab is actually a cash flow positive company, I want to make the disclaimer that I think that they are still a very young company in that sense. And I don't think using a DCF is the best way to value the company. But since they have shown cash flow positivity over the last couple of years, I think it's only fair that we run them through the DCF. So let me zoom this in for you. What you're going to notice, first line, revenue, okay, 12% year-over-year growth. And then let's say this slowly increases and to 15%, and then basically steadies out for the rest of the decade, growing at only 15% top line number for the rest of the decade. Now, then over here, what you're seeing is the cash flow from operations. Previously, they were at around 27%. This year, currently on a trailing 12 months basis, they're coming in at around 21%. But let's say they increase this to 25, 27, and 30%. Now, why am I projecting an increase in cash flow from operations? Very simple, because I think they are burning a lot of cash right now when it comes to the financial services side of the business. And as that segment actually turns to profitability, I would presume that they'll have to burn less cash on things like marketing and all that. And so because of that, I expect that segment of the business, as well as once it turns positive, to contribute to profitability and drive up their cash flow margins, right? And finally, CapEx, this is rather straightforward. You can see the pattern over here. It's around 2 to 2.5% over the last couple of quarters. And that is what we are assuming for their capital expenditure going forward. And using the amount of cash that they have on hand, less the debt that they have, I think at the end of the day, you can see that with the shares outstanding, if these assumptions are true, Grab should be worth around $10.26 on using the perpetual approach. Now I'm going to show you Fiscal AI, and then you can take a look at the EV to EBITDA and how I actually ended up at that number over there. All right, if I go to industry, let's see. Okay, over here you can see I'm basically comparing the EV to EBITDA between Sea Limited, Lyft, Uber, and Grab. So of course, Grab is the highest right now. I don't expect that to always be the case. And if I take the average here, the average EV to EBITDA is around 55 times. So if I go back to my Excel file, you can see that I have decided to use a number that is actually even less than 55 times EV to EBITDA, even though 5 years from now, it's actually safe to say that Grab wouldn't have been finished growing yet. They would be a little bit more mature, but they would not have finished growing. But even then, and so is that the EBITDA margin stands at around 21%, and the EV to EBITDA multiple that I am using is 40 times, right? So which is much lower than where some of the other companies within the space are currently operating at. And so even with that low assumption, you get a share price of around $15.66. Now, if you take that in aggregate, you end up with an implied share price of $12.96. Now, the margin of safety over here, I am only giving 10%, despite this not being a US company, for the very simple fact I live in Singapore and I use this product nearly every day. So I feel, pretty safe understanding the product, understanding the business model. I don't think this is a company that is poised for any sort of exponential growth like Palantir. I do think $10 in 2 to 3 years' time is actually quite doable from here. And so what you can see is that based on today's price, today, for the first time in a long while, I think definitely new 52-week highs, Grab stock actually closed at $6. And so from the $6 range, then there is around a 94% upside from here. However, if you just go back one day, right, to Thursday, then actually there's more than 100% upside, because with a 10% margin of safety, the price target would be around $11.66. And so with that, really, I think the price target of the company really depends on your risk tolerance. If you are unsure about the region, like for me, sometimes when I invest in China, I like to give a larger margin of safety because I am unsure about the dynamics of the region. And if you are someone that is perhaps not in the Southeast Asian region and you feel uncomfortable with just a 10% margin of safety, feel free to go even further, 20% margin of safety. Even then, that takes it to.
Yeah, so there you go. So I thought this video was done pretty good. I like the way he did his analysis, cash flow model. And it looks like even when he put in that his margin of safety at 10, the stock was an $11 stock. So in the market right now, you should be buying that stock at that price. So within 2 years, the stock is going to get there. It's going to get to that $10 at a 20% margin. The stock is expected to be at that $10.37. At $6, if you bought it at $6, it's no longer a $6 stock. I think the stock today hit $6. What did it hit? Like $6.70-something, or no, 50 cents, whatever it was. So I think for the region, maybe there's some risk, but at the end of the day, I think there's a lot more people that need jobs in these kind of services, and it's a lot larger of a region versus like just the United States. I think the risk shouldn't be that much. I don't think it should be 20%. Maybe 10% makes sense. And the fact, something that's kind of really interesting about Grab, this is a Southeastern Asian company, and when you buy Grab stock, you're not buying an ADR. You're buying direct shares within the company, not like a derivative ADR shares. So even that, I think, gives me more of a gives me more. I guess it's like additional trust in the company, just because they decided that you're able to buy their stock here within the United States, and not just like some kind of ADR shares that you don't really have. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty good share, pretty good video here. I mean, there's potential. We could see this stock in a year, to being at that $10 range, I'm just gonna keep buying. Like I bought some this morning. I bought some the day before, and the day before. I've been buying for a while. I'm super excited about Grab. Even though this video wasn't gonna be about Grab, but like thanks Ash, you got me talking about Grab. Um, the other company that I have been buying a lot is the other company that I have been buying a lot is AMD. AMD Advanced Money Destroyer. Uh, I think that company is literally sitting at the edge of just breaking out. And so I think eventually AMD is going to be one of those companies that's just going to be part of almost everything that we do. And that the fact that their product is built in a way where really is almost different than NVIDIA, in the fact that you get more output tokens, um, output for a given token, and the fact that it's cheaper, it uses less electricity. There is just a lot of benefits to having eventually, well, with time, obviously, an AMD chip versus having something like NVIDIA. Obviously, NVIDIA is going to always have the market, but the market doesn't want a monopoly. A monopoly controls the price and can charge as much as they want. And if AI is going to continue, being a thing, like it's going to be ridiculous that um, Mark Zuckerberg, Google, any of these large institutions that need chips are gonna pay crazy prices for their chips. And the crazy part about AMD's chips is that they are built in a chiplet architecture, meaning that when you buy the AMD chips, you're not buying this huge piece. You're buying these you're buying this I don't even know how to describe it. You're buying this like modem, and within on that you have these little chiplets that all of them kind of work together and act as a hive to give you the AI output that you need. So that means if one part of the chip breaks, you can replace it with a new one, and you don't have to literally just throw out the whole thing. So that's what I think, like AMD definitely has the leverage here in the long term. Obviously, Nvidia isn't going to be, I don't think they're going to lose. I don't think they're going to be the number one, the best chip manufacturing company. I think they're very well diversified, but I think AMD is gonna be on the second stage of AI, because Nvidia helped with all of the training, and they're able to help out a lot of companies get the data, organize it, structure the data. But I think on the other end, it's going to be a company like AMD that's going to come in and is going to say, you know what, the training and all that has happened, but now we need inference and we need compute, and then we need things to be cheaper, affordable, and almost it could be on every single laptop in the world that is bought. And we're going to need a sustainable way of actually fixing chips, fixing these AI chips, so that if one part breaks, that we can easily fix uh, the entire thing by just fixing one part, rather than just like throwing out the baby in the bathwater. So yeah, I think AMD in the long term is definitely like it's gonna be one of those companies that is just kind of how do you say this, like a sleeping giant. I think that has a really good value, and obviously the market doesn't see that. They definitely do not see that at all. And I don't know. Obviously, like Intel, AMD, I believe this morning they invested like a couple billions of dollars in Intel. That made the AMD stock go down. I think that was yesterday or today. But at the end of the day, I think AMD is built on a platform that's more like open sourced. People can get on like use AMD chips to be able to like run different types of tests and everything else. So I really think AMD's right now, if I had to choose between NVIDIA or AMD, I'm gonna load up on AMD, just from a fact of like I think they're one of the better valuation companies right now. In 3 to 5 years, I think Lisa Su was doing an interview and she said something along the line of like, we are in a 10-year cycle of AI development, and we are like the second or year 2 or 3 of the 10-year. So obviously there's still like so much time. I don't even know. Let's see, Lisa Su on 10-year AI. Let's see if I can find. Let's see what she said. I think it was this video here.
Pretty obvious we're hitting artificial general intelligence at this moment. I think we'd all agree we're starting to see that. But superintelligence can't be far behind that. Assume we hit that superintelligence. What will the world look like in 10 years? In the most optimistic scenario, if we do this right.
The exciting part about it, and I can say this very sincerely, I mean, this is the most transformational technology sort of in our lifetimes. That's the way we should think about
Orders
AI.
of magnitude.
Orders of magnitude. And the reason is it's not just going after one aspect, right? You can actually take AI and make science better. You can take AI and make medicine better. You can take AI and make manufacturing better. You can take AI and make every aspect of your business better. And so, in my mind, 10 years from now, we'd like to believe that we are really leveraging it to solve some of the world's most important problems. I like to say, AMDers get up in the morning and they say, how can I use technology to solve some of the most important challenges in the world? And, AI is really our mechanism, for doing that.
Pretty obvious we're hitting artificial.
That was not the video I was looking for. AMD CEO, we're still in the very early innings. Oh yeah, this is the video here.
Just one more.
But the cool part about that video that we were looking at is though almost everybody around there, I mean, obviously Chamath Palihapitiya, he is the kind of helped out with making SoFi actually go public. That's also one of my favorite other companies. I have a ton of shares of SoFi, pretty big part of my portfolio. But so Chamath Palihapitiya, he is really close to the like the president's circle and a lot of people in politics. And Lisa Su really found her way into getting in front of President Trump, getting in front of Congress, committee meetings to answer questions around like AI and what U.S. needs to answering questions around what does the U.S. need to do to be able to compete and make the United States AI be something that proliferates like all around the world. So Lisa, I don't know how she does it, but she always gets in front of like governments, individuals that are close to governments, and so she is well known. Maybe, I don't know, but like, could we see something like Intel, where President Trump just decides, you know what, we're gonna invest. We need AI to be great. We need competition. We don't want a monopoly. We're going to invest in Intel. I mean, in AMD. I don't know. I could see Trump do something like that. But let's watch this video here where Lisa Su talks about the early innings of AI.
AI event in San Jose, California, where AMD just unveiled a slate of new AI hardware, software, and systems designed to compete with NVIDIA and others. Shares are flat for the year, underperforming its major peers, but have rallied 17% in the past 3 months. Joining me here in San Jose, an exclusive interview, is Lisa Su, AMD's CEO and chair. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for being here, John.
So talk to me about these systems. You got a chip sitting there next to you that's, I guess, fresh out of the oven. What is it that you're announcing here? What level of competition does that raise you to with the others out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, it's been a big day for AMD, really exciting. I love talking about our new products, you know that. So we just recently announced our MI355 chip. This is our newest AI chip, and it is fantastic. It's the best inference accelerator out there in the market. And, if you look at what's happening in AI today, we're just seeing so many more use cases, John. Like people are using AI everywhere. And so one of the most important things for our customers is to get more efficiency from their chips. So when you think about tokens per dollar, that's kind of the metric that is used. And this chip will give you 40% more tokens per dollar, which just gives you the opportunity to offer AI at a much more affordable price across the world. So yes, very exciting. We also previewed our 2026 lineup. We're on an annual cadence now of new accelerators, and we're not just doing chips, but we're doing big rack scale systems. And so all of that was part of our announcements today.
And their investors are puzzling over how the innovations will translate into share gains versus the likes of NVIDIA. So why is it beyond chips now, and why is it about racks? That was a big part of the ZT Systems acquisition. Put that into perspective with the go-to-market and the design component to satisfy the customer need.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, we're really excited about the momentum that we're seeing in the AI market these days. If you look today, 7 out of the top 10, model builders and AI companies are using AMD products. That includes Meta, Oracle, OpenAI. Sam Altman was here with us today. Meta and Oracle were here. xAI, Tesla, to name a few. And when you think about what they need, what they really want is the latest generation hardware that gets into the data center and then get serving production workloads as fast as possible. And so to do that, you require, of course we require chips, but we're also putting a significant amount of investment into the software layer to make it just super easy to use. And we're also building a rack scale solution. So we just completed our ZT acquisition. We've added 1,000 design engineers, and the whole purpose is so that we can help our customers get to the market with our AI solutions as fast as physically possible.
You've got competition with NVIDIA at the high end, certainly. And then the hyperscalers, the big cloud providers who are also now big AI providers, AWS, Azure, Google, they've got their homegrown AI chips that they're trying to use as much as possible to keep their costs lower, their margins higher. How do you play to both ends of that and win? How does openness fit into your strategy?
Yeah, well, Don, when you think about it, I view we're still in the very early innings of AI. And frankly, as much as we've seen a ramp up in AI, we have sort of said that the market is going to grow over 60% annually for the next number of years to over $500 billion in 2028. That's a huge market. And, in that market, what people want is the most flexible and the most programmable, architectures out there. And that's really what we're building. And, the key point in this is, again, we believe in deep co-development with our partners. So hardware, software, systems coming together, making sure that we have the right compute for the right application, and that's what we've shown. If you look at just how much improvement, I can just give you some stats, right? If you look at the solution that we're just talking about, the MI355, it's
hold it up high.
Oh, hold it up high. Yes, I want to make sure everyone gets to see my new baby here. We're very happy that it is now out in production, but this is like 3 times the performance of just what you saw last year. So that's just how much value you're getting. And we previewed our next generation, our MI400 series, and there we're going to see like 10x types of improvements. So that's how much we can get from the hardware and working closely with our partners. And you asked about open. Open is the foundation of what we do at AMD. I'm a real believer in the fact that an open ecosystem is how you get the best innovation into the market. So we have thousands of developers here today. They're playing with our hardware, they're learning our software, and we want all of them developing on our stuff so that we get the benefit of all of that innovation, and they get the benefit of bringing their best ideas in.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words, create your brand, your opportunity, your breakthrough. Feeling a vibe? Run with it. From can't look away to gotta have it. Make every detail yours. Bring out what's hot. Remove what's not. Crystallize it. Instantly set a tone that speaks in your voice to your audience. Keep moving. Your site grows with.
No, that sucked because she didn't really talk about what I was hoping that she would cover.
I am super excited.
But it's I think Lisa Su did talk about that situation a while back. The fact that we're obviously the whole stories, we're just still so early in this AI, in the world of AI. And I'm trying to find a video where they cover inference versus training. So this is where I think AMD is gonna win. And this guy actually does really good job on kind of showing, all right, what is inference, what is training, and the difference there. So let's watch what he's talking about here.
Inferencing. It's an AI model's time to shine, its moment of truth, a test of how well the model can apply information learned during training to make a prediction or solve a task. And with it comes a focus on cost and speed. Let's get into it. So, an AI model, it goes through two primary stages. What are those? The first of those is the training stage, where the model learns how to do stuff. And then we have the inferencing stage that comes after training. Now, we can think of this as the difference between learning something and then putting what we've learned into practice. So during training, a deep learning model computes how the examples in its training set are related. What it's doing effectively here is it's figuring out relationships between all of the data in its training set. And it encodes these relationships into what are called a series of model weights. These are the weights that connect its artificial neurons. So that's training. Now, during inference, a model goes to work on what we provide it, which is real-time data. So this is the actual data that we are inputting into the model. What happens at inferencing is the model compares the user's query with the information processed during training and all of those stored weights. And what the model effectively does is it generalizes based on everything that it has learned during training. So it generalizes from this stored representation to be able to interpret this new unseen data in much the same way that you and I can draw on prior knowledge to infer the meaning of a new word or make sense of a new situation. And what's the goal of this? Well, the goal of AI inference is to calculate and output basically a result, an actionable result. So what sort of result are we talking about? Well, let's consider a model that attempts to accurately flag incoming email. And it's going to flag it based on whether or not it thinks it is spam. We are going to build a spam detector model. Right. So during the training stage, this model would be fed a large labeled data set. So we get in a whole load of data here. And this contains a bunch of emails that have been labeled. Specifically, the labels are spam or not spam for each email. And what happens here is the model learns to recognize patterns and features commonly associated with spam emails. So these might include the presence of certain keywords. Yeah, those ones. So unusual sender email addresses, excessive use of exclamation marks, all that sort of thing. Now, the model encodes these learned patterns into its weights here, creating a complex set of rules to identify spam. Now, during inference, this model is put to the test. It's put to the test with new unseen data in real time, like when a new email arrives in a user's inbox. The model analyzes the incoming email, comparing its characteristics to the patterns it's learned during training, and then makes a prediction. Is this new unseen email spam or not spam? Now, the actionable result here might be a probability score, indicating how likely the email is to be spam, which is then tied into a business rule. So for example, if the model assigns a 90% probability, what we're looking at here is spam, well, we should move that email directly to the spam folder. That's what the business rule would say. But if the probability the model comes back with is just 50%, the business rule might say to leave the email in the inbox, but flag it for the user to
All right, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. So that is just kind of the general idea there. You got the training, you got the inference. The inference portion is more of just guessing, having the AI identify and guess things accurately, and in a way really predict if what we're looking at is in fact like true, false, or predict, for example, if you ask the AI a specific question, that rather than just going out and searching and getting this from the website, rather it infers from what is being asked and is able to come up with some kind of inference and give you some kind of output that makes sense to the user. So I wanted to pull up this article. Obviously, was written in March, but NVIDIA won the AI training game. That we know that. And NVIDIA, whoops, I hate when people say NVIDIA. NVIDIA is obviously won the AI game. They're a $5 trillion company, but obviously the second stage here is the inference portion, and that is literally a game that is open for anybody to take this market. So what the cool part about, I like AI, so I'm gonna have Copilot kind of summarize what's going on. What are the key takeaways on this site? So obviously on this site they're specifically covering what's going on in the world of inference. So comments. So as you can see here, it says training versus inference, a shift in focus. NVIDIA dominates the AI training with GPU powering most large-scale training clusters. Inference is emerging as the next battleground with diverse workload and hardware needed. Training demand massive compute and energy, while inference varies based on model size, latency need, and deployment location. Now, new players in the inference race. So AMD has the MI300. Obviously, they also have the MI400, which is going to be one of the big competitions. GPUs that they're coming out with, and that GPU is supposed to be way better than what NVIDIA has currently. So AMD has the AMD MI300 series GPU, offers a high memory capacity up to 256 gigabytes, making them ideal for large models. Startups like Cerberus, Grok, D-Matrix focus on speed using SRAM and speculative decoding, PCs and cloud integration. So this is exactly where I think AMD is going to win because of their chiplet capabilities, and because that they're more of like an open source, unlike NVIDIA's CUDA model. So PCs and cloud integration, major chip makers like Intel, Apple, Qualcomm are integrating with powerful NPUs into consumer devices. Hyperscalers continue to buy NVIDIA hardware, but are also invested in custom silicon to diversify. NVIDIA response. NVIDIA GB200 NVL72 system connects 72 GPUs with 13.5 terabytes memory, 1.4 exaflops, enabling massive throughput for models like GPT-4. The GPU are general purpose, suitable for both training and inference given NVIDIA's flexibility. NVIDIA is expected to unveil its Blackwell Ultra platform tuned for inference at the upcoming GTC event. I think that event is supposed to be is going to be in 2026, but AMD did say that the goal is they want to become profitable by the end of this year around their products with the MI400. So if they're able to do that, I think they're going to be able to take a good portion of the market. So let's compare the two. So I'm trying to ask, like, could NVIDIA win the inference? AMD versus NVIDIA in the inference game. I don't know. I think either company could win it, but I think because it's just like it's such a nascent market still, and no one company has ownership of this portion, the second portion of AI, which is like the inference portion. I think that I think that it creates a lot of room for a company like AMD to really take on and start making some taking on a lot of the market. So I don't know. I think that AMD, I agree with this. Like AMD did win the initial win. Obviously, they're a $5 trillion company, but I think at the end of the day, Nvidia did win the AI race in the initial being able to make these large GPUs that obviously a lot of companies like Grok, ChatGPT, Google, like all these companies develop their AI systems. I think that the inference portion is going to be a second battle that because I don't like, yes, maybe Nvidia could be good on both. They could be really good at inferencing and they could be good at training, but I think the training portion is is still such a big it's such a big field, it's such a big market that there isn't one dominant feature that they have potential to actually take some market share. So anyways, so that's why I'm kind of thinking like Nvidia really could win this inference game at the end of the day. And Lisa Su, I tell you what, she is amazing at what she does. She took the company from $2 a share to to now what, $260 billion. I mean, if you think about it, like you have this AI company that makes chips. Oh, they have this chips manufacturer company that's only $260 billion, and the number one company is $5 trillion. And in a world of business, every company hates a monopoly. So monopolies are literally bad in business. So at the end of the day, I think that AMD has a significant amount of room for growth. This should be, I think, closer to like $600-700 billion company. But all that to say, I am gonna get back to AI. AI stock analysis. All right. So let's get back to it. I'm gonna go back to connect. I'm gonna go back to what I was doing here. I was trying to make a. I was showing you how to, how Google has really cool features, specifically Google AI Studios, and they have a couple of features around, allowing you to make music. Just literally, you become a DJ in 5 seconds. While also allowing you to create like a whole bunch of like sites. So I'm building my own AI stock analyst, which I looks like I'm able to do. As you can see, I just type in AMD, and it goes online and finds the details that are important to me and returns that kind of information. What kind of information? As you can see, it tells me the name of the company, what they do, how long have they been around, who who are the founders, where's the headquarters, what is the industry, leadership. It shows me some financial information, year over year as well as quarter over quarter, growth here, trailing 12 months. You got currently what they offer and then what they plan to offer in the future. Key partnerships like Microsoft Azure, Samsung, Google Clouds, Meta, and then main competitors. You got Nvidia, Intel, Qualcomm, and then their market cap peers like Qualcomm and Intel, the industry, and then you got, on top of all this, you got social media pulse, like what are the markets saying about the company. So I'm continuously developing this. Obviously I'm not done. This video is gonna, I'm just gonna go over and just continue to develop this, but first I gotta get myself a really good beat that I can work over. All right, let's see. All right. Yikes. All right. Actually, let's go Neo Soul. Let's check out Punk. Hey. Let's see, drum and bass. Little drum and bass. All right. All right. So this. All right. All right. So I'm creating this music using Gemini AI, and pretty cool. So I'm gonna go to a different one here. So there's that one. Where's the other one here? Do, 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 do. So I'm gonna go to a different one. Here's this one as well. So there's that one. Where's the other one here? Here's this one as well. So this one is a little bit. So I'm obviously trying to find out like a good beat that I can have while I create my AI stock analyst. So this one is a little bit. So let me start. So the cool part about this is I don't even like, this is all AI generated. It's not a real music. It's just, you know, somewhere in the ether coming into existence. All right, let me adjust this. Pretty cool. So let me turn some drums and bass in here. right, so I gotta find a beat that I like, then I can just move on from this. All right, let me turn up the drums. We need some drums. Yeah, maybe it's too heavy. Maybe it's too heavy here. Yeah, that's a little too much. That's a little too much. So let's, you know what? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick with Anavio Gallery. I'm gonna stick with this Prompt DJ. I think this one worked pretty good. So I'm gonna create a good smooth beat here and then go from there. All right, let's go. Oh, cool. That actually saved what I had. Ah, it's crashing. A little bit. All right. This is definitely a depressing music right here. Cannot be playing this. Let's get some drum and bass. All right. Hopefully this is perfect, but I don't know yet. All right, this is kind of crazy. All right, let me start. up. All right. So it looks like my music stopped. Let me try playing my music again. Obviously things are going to be a little slower just because, you know, I'm using AI Music Creator. I'm using this AI to be able to research the stock. So it may just take a little bit, but overall, like, that story is going to be the same. We're going to get the information we want around the stock. All right, let's see what we get for SoFi. It's gonna be searching. All right, so I can play my music in just a second, but let me see if I can get SoFi stock to populate some information here. Alright, so it looks like it's loading. Looks like we got an error. I'll fix that while I play my music. On-caught type error. Alright, so dang, I don't know how to fix this scratchy part of the audio. Alright, so let me turn this up. So it looks like, let me try searching for SoFi stock here and see what we get. So it looks like, let me try searching for SoFi stock here and see what we get. All right. So I do get my social sentiment here. So that part does work. Retail, individual investor, social platform, frequently enthusiasm. So I do get my social sentiment here. So that part does work. Retail, individual investor, social platform, frequently enthusiasm. So this is the institutional monitors. You got retail. Individual investors on social platforms frequently express enthusiasm for SoFi investment approach to financial services is long-term growth potential. Individual investors on social platforms frequently express enthusiasm for SoFi investment approach to financial services is long-term growth potential. All right, I need a better beat here. Cool. Let's see how well this works here. So all right. Let's It looks like I was able to build out the social sentiment, which is not bad, but alright. Looks like I was able to build out the social sentiment, which is not bad, but alright. Looks like I was able to build out the social sentiment, which is not bad, but alright. So interesting. So it looks like from this perspective, I think SoFi pretty good. So interesting. So it looks like from this perspective, I think SoFi pretty good. So interesting. So it looks like from this perspective. All right, so I think um, I think this looks pretty good. I don't know what else I should add. Let me see. Let me try playing the AI music generator. Hopefully it's not too much. Hopefully it's not too much. Alright, so we tested so far. All this is such a weird test. Let's try AMD as one of the stocks. Hopefully this works out. AMD. No, I meant AMD. Alright, so we tested so far. All this is such a weird test. Let's try AMD as one of the stocks. Hopefully this works out. AMD. No, I meant AMD. Alright, so we tested so far. All this is such a weird test. Let's try AMD as one of the stocks. Hopefully this works out. AMD. No, I meant AMD. Alright, so it's loading. I need to add some kind of feature here that's like cancel search or something like that, or it allow AMD Digital. A AMD. That's the stock. AMD. That's the one I want to analyze here. All right, so I got my analyst here. It looks like my analyst is working decently. Something I noticed is sometimes it doesn't get me like really good financial data. Q4 2022, 23. So it's able to give me quarter over quarter information, but as you can see, it kind of ends too early and I needed to go a lot further. Um, Current offering, future offerings, key partnerships, market cap, peers, industry. I think I might want to move the social trend to, let's see, where I think the social trend should go. Um, Key partnerships. I think if I just moved social trends above the competition. All right. So move the social trend. Right. Okay. Social trend information, social media, pulse data, above the main competitors. main competitors. All right, let's just start one at a time. So now it's gonna load up and it's gonna move this portion here above. So what I want to know is, all right, I want to understand this, what the company does. This is kind of important information, kind of who runs it. And then I want to see quick financial information. I still don't like this financial info because it's aged. It's aged. It's really old. So I wish I can just. I wish I can pull like more up-to-date information here. What they offer. Let's try Apple. Actually, let's try Tesla. All right, so Tesla's loading. So hopefully this works out. I think it's gonna obviously be really good social media sentiment. Okay, so I guess the music doesn't like me. Um, cool. So let me finish up this. Let me finish up the site here. So let me maximize this. I guess we're not doing any music. That music's gonna work out, but it is not working out here. So what do we do here? So we have our AI stock analyst here. Obviously, you're able to ask it questions. We have the company, what they do. We have leadership. The cool part I like about this leadership portion is that it is, you see that it's from a leadership perspective, it'll tell you if it's founder led. And that is one key feature that I wanted to know is when I look up at a company, I like companies that have leadership, specifically that are founder led. So I like that this says, hey, this is a founder led company. Cool. I got some useful financial information. Obviously, this is, this is aged in a way. This is Q1 2024 trailing 12 months. As you can see, this is the company's historical revenue, net income over the course of time. We got 2021, 22, and 23 quarterly trending down. This Tesla, obviously, it is trending down. Let's keep on going. Current offerings: electric vehicles, energy storage, solar energy, charging infrastructure, full service, self-driving, and then the future robot taxi network, Optimus robots, and expanded product lines, potential for low-cost vehicles and new energy solution. So these, this is some of the stuff that Tesla always teases the customers around. Key partnerships, if we look here, autonomous other automakers like Ford and GM and Rivian. Numerous automakers have adopted Tesla's North America charging standard for their electric vehicles, allowing them access to Tesla's supercharging network across America. And then also their partnership with Panasonic, a long-standing partnership for battery cell supply, particularly for Tesla early vehicle models and Gigafactory Nevada operations. Cool. So what else do I want my site to have? I want social media trend. I think this kind of goes well here. So from a social media trend perspective, I kind of wanted details around, okay, what are the Toots institutional companies saying about the company? I wanted to know what the retail individuals are saying about the company, and then media mentions around the company. So let's see if this is actually useful information. Institutional investors show a mixed to neutral sentiment towards Tesla, acknowledging its innovation and market leadership, but expressing concerns about valuation, intense competition, declined margins, and the impact of CEO Elon Musk, other ventures, and public persona. Discussion often focus on production volume, full self-driving, FSD progress, and the long-term profitability of its various segments, particularly with recent price cuts and slowdown growth. So that is about the institutional. Social media. Retail investor sentiment for Tesla has shown a slight decrease from overwhelmingly positive to more polarizing neutrals. So all right, I mean, media coverage of Tesla has seen an increased trend in the negative sentiment, while innovation and milestones are reported. A significant portion of news focused on regulatory scrutiny, recall, controversial, and then Elon Musk public statements and leadership at X. So, all right, kind of useful information, but not really. So what I want is, while I'm looking at this sentiment, I wonder if I can see some kind of like sentiment chart. from retail. Okay, let's see. Are you able to show me the sentiment? Let me see. All right. So I want to know if I want to be able to see the sentiment chart, right? So I want to see as the flow of sentiment going, from positive to negative and currently where it is. So are you able to show me a chart, uh, let me see. Let's try it. Are you sentiment chart showing for retail and institutional new media. All right, so hopefully the goal here is that we're able to see the trend. Gotta let it load. Jeez. Of course, visualizing sentiment data will make it much easier to understand at a glance. I'll add a sentiment chart to the social media post card to display current sentiment information for institution, retail, and media sources. This is perfect. This is what I need. I didn't think it could create it, but obviously I'm gonna have to still check on the accuracy of the sentiment information. Let's go. So, all right, so let's try a company like SoFi, see what it gives us. Maybe. It's taking a while for it to load. But I think this still beats like you having to go and look all this stuff up one at a time on different sites. Geez, that took a while. I didn't like that. So, all right, we got SoFi. The cool part about stuff like this is I can quickly click and just add it to my watch list. That's the best part. All right, let me go into the information. Honestly, what I want to do is here, get rid of that. Allow me to also, okay, allow me to hide both the financial snapshot and historical performance. Allow me to collapse. Allow me to collapse both. Okay, I want to be able to collapse both of them. Right now I can collapse one, which I really don't like. Like I want to be able to, I don't want to see this. I want to quickly hide it, and I can. I also want to do the same thing to this if I find this stuff more interesting. So I want to see the trend. Oh, This trend is so bad. So, I mean, sentiment overview. This is sentiment positive. So it's retail positive, but then there's nothing for institutional social media. So it needs to be a little bit better here. I want also the industry pulse, I'm not a fan of. And I prefer to have the sentiment. I think I prefer to have the sentiment maybe. I don't know. I may have added it up higher, maybe. If I'm able to kind of collapse this portion, and have the current offering, maybe even have the current offering collapsible. Of course, I can certainly add a function to make the interface cleaner and more manageable. All right, looks like it's gonna do that update, so I can collapse that portion. So let's go with Hood. Let's go with Robinhood. See what we get there. How do you send on? You're welcome. Loading. Yeah, I think the loading part is maybe one thing that would make somebody leave the site, but there may be a way to speed it up. All right, so we got Robinhood here, kind of cool. So something maybe I should consider here is that I have this ask a follow-up question about Robinhood section where you can ask, as you're reading and getting some fun information, like it would suck for a user to go scroll up back to the top to get information, you know? Let me add it to my watch list, because I want maybe this to be more of like a floating item or something that kind of I can be in any section and I can just kind of quickly ask my question, you know? Maybe that's a good feature to have, even if a feature that kind of, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about how I would have that in here. So boom, net income loss reduced by 85%. All right, so I can collapse this, and this has annualized net income in billions, quarterly revenues. All right, it's okay. Like I guess I don't mind this. So let me hide that away. And so I got financial highlights, historical financials, leadership. Let's see. So the leadership section is also collapsible. So this isn't bad. I actually kind of like this. So current offerings. Where's the future offerings? Wait a second. I think it got lost. Leadership, I don't mind, but all right. So when I see an issue, what I normally do is I'll just take a screenshot and I will provide it to the AI and I'll say, it looks like you removed the company's future future offerings. Can you make sure you always include both current and future offerings the company has discussed, right? All right. Yeah, so I don't mind having current offerings, but I want to know what the future offerings plans are. So when I uncollapse this, I get them both. So yes, I did add this feature. Like if I'm not interested in this information, I can just collapse all of it, and then that would just give me like the competition. I can uncollapse it, then it'll show me like this. So something I kind of want to add is right now I'm playing with the features. I don't like this trend. This is sentiment overview is terrible because right now it shows me the social media, retail sentiment. It says that retail investors generally express positive sentiment towards Robinhood, appreciating its user-friendly interface, commission-free trading, and innovative product and launch such as IRA, crypto offerings, discussion of platforms like Reddit and X, formerly known as Twitter, highlight accessibility Robinhood provides for new investors and its role in democratizing finance. So what I think will be useful is when I'm looking at like social media trends, I might find it kind of interesting to have something for like, what is the trend on Reddit? Then maybe have a scale for that, or what's the trend for what's the trend on X, right? So I can look at trends on different platforms to see, okay, how is this company doing overall? All right. All right, this is not bad. It's a little bit better. So current offerings, future offerings. For Grab, obviously the future offerings, expanded financial services, deepening penetration of existing financial products, and exploring new fintech solutions across South Asia, including embedded finance. New vertical services, potential expansion into additional on-demand service that complements existing offerings, enhancing the super app ecosystem. So this is exactly why I wanted to add some features. For example, what did they mean by this super app ecosystem? So I want to give the user the ability to say, what is super app ecosystem? So I want to, I can quickly ask that question and the AI should return just a quick synopsis. Super App ecosystem is a mobile application that integrates a wide range of diverse service, such as ride hailing, food, all this, onto a single platform. This creates an interconnected network for users, merchants, services providers, all leveraging shared user data, payment systems, and logistics infrastructure to offer comprehensive, convenient, and sticky experience. Grab exemplifies this by combining multiple daily needs into one apps. Boom. So this is the kind of feature I wanted to have. And then obviously, your curiosity is going to drive a lot of the research, but there's potential that you can keep the user, within this ecosystem, by allowing them to ask, whatever diverse amount of questions. So it shows you approximate market cap, it shows you the industry on these little cards. It shows you that we talked about the future offerings. This is stale information, but you're able to see the growth here in revenue, the growth here in quarter over quarter. So let me just collapse that. Key partnerships, Hyundai Motor Group, strategic partnership focused on promoting the adoption of EVs. Various bank financial institutions collaborating with regional and local banks to integrate financial services, enhance Grab Pay functionality, and expand lending and insurance offering. So the cool part about Grab, like the more and more I read about the company like this, is obviously at the end of the day, data is going to be the most important thing. And in this case, I think then, and then I think that AI will, AI, because if they have all this data, all this information, I think they're going to be able to service a lot of companies, and their data is going to be worth so much money. Local restaurant chain retails extensive network of partnerships with food, beverage establishments, and retail outlets to power Grab Food and Grab Mart delivery services. Leadership, Group CEO and co-founder Grab in 2012, leads the overall strategic direction. Operation of the company has been instrumental to the Grab's growth for ride-hailing app to super app across South Asia. Tan Hu, that's Anthony Tan, and then Tan Hu Ling, co-founded Grab in 2012. He's the co-founder, chair, financial officer. Cool. The fact that co-founders are still, leading it, is that it's a founder-led company, already makes me excited. Next. So we're looking at social media trends. I think the only thing about the social media trends is, if I'm thinking of a user, what do they want to see? I would say that they'd want to see something like this, like what if it's positive, negative, see, and then if it's positive, negative, or something like this. So increasing activity, institutional investors. All right. Something that will be interesting to see on the site is, I would be interested to see the approximate number of shares held per institutional holders and retail holders, right? Shareholders. Instead of a single number, I am interested in the historical trend of um, the historical trend of growth. How do you say this? Historical growth trend and historical trend of growth for each. Let's see. I think that makes sense. It's expected. Whoa. So the cool part, of course, that's an excellent idea. Understanding the trend in institutional versus retail ownership provides a crucial insight into market sentiment and conviction. I'll add a new ownership structure section to the analysis. This will feature a dedicated chart visualizing the historical trend of shares held by both institution retail investors over the past 2 years. That's fine. This will allow you to see, for example, if large institutions are accumulating shares or if there is a surge in retail interest. Yeah, this is honestly even better. Let's see what we get here. It's flipping on me. Flipping on me. Flipping on me. Alright, see what we get. Some people live for the fortune. Alright. Let's do, what company should we test here? Let's do Tesla, Grab, AMD. BMNR is a terrible example, but I like that company. Let's do Big Bear AI. So this is cool, right? I mean, it's gonna go through, it's gonna find what I'm looking for. Would I prefer to go to the different sites, try to find the retail sentiment, institutional sentiment, what the company wants to offer in the future manually? Nope, I don't want to do that. I mean, think about how much data I just got, like, so quickly. So boom, we got Big Bear AI, the approximate market cap here, what the company, the industry, when it was founded by. That's a problem. Headquartered, and then we got the company's current offerings, future offerings. I don't really like this. It's not important that I can, hide these. Predictive analysis platform, data fusion management, cybersecurity, supply chain operations, enhanced AI ML capabilities. All right. Improved from larger loss. That's good. All right, let's close this out. this is pretty cool to see that they're in 2022 to 2023 they got significant increase in the revenue and net income. Revenue stay consistent, I guess. We got key partnerships. Looks like they're mainly between government agencies and defense contractors. All right, cool. Leadership team, chief executive. So here I don't see anything around like founder led or anything. So it's not founder led. You got the CEO who is Mandy Long. All right. Social media pulse. It looks like you're getting some increased activity in retail, not much in institutional holders. Mentions ownership structure. I do like this very much, but is this the right place for it? So as you can see, institutional interest is growing. As institutional holders is growing, retail is kind of going down. You know, we got what 106 shares, 106 million shares, and then we're going between 64. All right, I guess they're going up to 104. So retail did go down to 104 million shares. Institutional is just increasing quarter over quarter. I think this is very useful information, but the sentiment data is not very useful. So I want to tackle this. The sentiment overview is not charts, is not very useful. Are you able to show me in this section, are you able to show me sentiment interest regarding specific sites, specific places. For example, I'm interested in sentiment on Reddit. Reddit? How do you Reddit? Reddit? I don't use it enough. Reddit. Oh, 2D. So I was right. Reddit. X. And X. Historical trend, if possible. Something I've noticed is, for some reason, a lot of the data just ends into 2024. I'm wondering if they only have a database that has that information. And I'm wondering where I can get that information from. Where can I find free company stock holders for both institutions and retail. Let's see. Edgar is a good place. Obviously, you have to report it. There's nobody. All right, so institutional stock ownership search, MSN. Visit the MSN English US Money and use the quote search bar in the top right corner. You got institutional stock ownership search. You got Nasdaq. You got verify institutional ownership for American institutions on SEC.gov. 13F, I think 13. This is the holding report I'm looking for, in which the institution, investors, manage report individuals. 13F and T, this is the notice report, which an institution investment manager uses its information to inform the public that a related institution investment manager has reported. Investment manager has reported the holding report. When you see a 13F and T report, you have to reverse engineer even further so that you can study the holding report of the related institution investment manager. Combined report, in which the report of the individual holdings can be found for the holdings which are reported by the related institution investment manager. You have to reverse engineer this. Three. So this is Canada. I'm interested in how to find out shares of the company, shareholders of the company. What? All business. Edgar. Yeah, they always take me to Edgar. I know, 13F filing. 13F. But there is a repository. There is a repository that is kept for free on GitHub. Where can I find company stockholders for both institution? GitHub. Okay, so wow, 2 million records. Jeez. And there's no filters. So I can look up Inclusive Development. So this is Inclusive Development International. What do they do? Inclusive initiatives, what we do. So Inclusive Development International partners with grassroots organizations, communities around the world to defend the rights and resources faced on harmful corporation activities. And okay, so let's say I type in Grab. As of, this is cool. Pretty cool. All right, so okay, that's one. 13F filings. BlackRock, company, Grab Holdings. All right, let me see if all right, so I can't find it. So what I'm trying to find is the institutional holders, and what I want the AI to do is, whoops, I want the AI, no, don't refresh it. No, don't cancel. Let me save. I think that's something I forget to do sometimes. No. Oh no, what's going on? Damn it, I forgot to save it. If it failed, if I didn't save it, I'm gonna have to stop for the night. No. I hope it didn't break. I think it did. I'll let that load. Damn. Okay. I will. All right, I'm gonna end it here. I'll start another day. Looks like I didn't save all that progress. There's a save button. Whenever I do changes, I need to click save. I forgot to do it, and I lost almost everything I created. And I'll get back to it another day. Thank you for joining me. Have a great night. We will continue this, the creation of this site another day. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, if you like this live session, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. I know it's super long. I'm going to be continue to develop this, continue to make it even better, and eventually get to the point of where the AI gives us a good prediction of, a year to a couple months out if a stock is worth buying or holding or selling. But for now, we are still I am still developing it, retail mentions, institutional mentions. So it's still got the social media trends. That's when I saved it. I also had it where I can collapse this, but that's gone now. Obviously, Hims has been doing just amazing. So, all right. That's it. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a good night. Bye.